Okay, good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jami Onosia, your regular host on the Public Service Knowledge Hub. Tonight's session is a particularly important one, a conversation that speaks directly to the heart of professional growth in Lagos State Service, civil service. Our topic tonight is navigating study approval, bonding and capacity building in the Lagos State Civil Service, a strategic guide for career growth. Addresses the very foundation of how we as public servants can advance our learning while contributing meaningful to institutional development. Every ambitious civil servant aspires to improve through training, further study, and professional development. But the path to obtaining approval, understanding bonding procedure, and leverage capacity building opportunities can sometimes be unclear. So this session aims to clarify those processes, helping us strike the right balance between professional growth and our obligations to the service. In Public Service Knowledge Hub, we believe that a truly modern civil servant is one that learns continuously, and that every officer's personal development must feed into the collective growth of the state. And to guide us through this important conversation, we are honored to have a seasoned administrator and accomplished training expert who has spent her career advancing the course of professional development in the Lagos State Public Service. Before I introduce our guest speaker, please fill in our attendance, the register, so that, because we are having like 300 on the call now, but in the attendance, we're having like 100. So it's very important to fill the attendance. So about our guest, Mrs. Modupe Adeola Animashaun. Mrs. Modupe Adeola Animashaun is an exemplary public servant and a symbol of excellence in administration and human resource management within the Lagos State Civil Service. She began her academic journey at Corona School, Victoria Island, proceeded to Queen's College, Yaba, and later earned a bachelor's degree in geography from the University of Ilorin. She also has a master in business administration from the University of Ado-Ekiti. Mrs. Animashaun joined the Lagos State Civil Service in 2000 as an administrative officer, GL08. She started her career in the Civil Service Commission and went on to work in 12 other MDAs, rising through the ranks. She served in MDA such as Ministry of Science and Technology, Teachers Establishment and Pension Office, now TESCOM, the defunct Ministry of Rural Development and Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, and Office of Internal Audit, among others. In every new position and with each development, Mrs. Animashaun distinguished herself with a strong work ethic, commendable communication, public speaking, and written skills, and a great understanding and firm grasp of the administration and human resources job description and deliverable. She has always exhibited strong interpersonal skill, working well with both upline and downline. She also often surpassed her key performance indicators, target earning several commendation letters from her accounting officer over the years, and in particular, 2 state commendation letters were issued by the late former head of service, Alhaji Rafiu Babatunde Tinubu, and His Excellency Mr. Babatunde Fashola as Chief of Staff of Lagos State Government then. In year 2008, Mrs. Animashaun was awarded the Lagos State Productivity Award of Merit, Productivity Order of Merit Award, and in year 2022, she received the Outstanding Officer Senior Category Award during the Public Service Week. Mrs. Animashaun has served on several state interministerial committees, more recently in the Committee on Conversion in the Public Service and Inauguration Committee of Mr. Governor for the second term in office. She also acted as rapporteur for several state engagements, such as the Eyigbeti Economic Summit in 2022, annual study tour of executive participants at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Ikuru, and the Command and Staff College, Jaji, in year 2020 to 2024 session. Mrs. Animashaun was deployed to head the training department in the Ministry of Establishment and Training in January 2025. She is happily married and blessed with children. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me use the emoji to welcome Mrs. Animashaun in. I'm expecting your emoji to appreciate Mrs. Animashaun. You are welcome, ma. Let me unmute you. I think you can unmute yourself, ma.
Thank you very, very much. Good evening to you and to all the 300 people on this call. I'm actually intimidated. Somebody is putting up their hand, even though we haven't started. Another person. Oh, you are welcoming me. It must be.
Yes. They can't wait. Yes, ma.
So thank you very much. Good evening, and I'm happy to be here. I'm particularly delighted that we're talking about this topic now. Since I assumed office, the issue of further studies is the most interesting thing I've encountered in my 25 years or so. Very, very interesting. I know people have questions. Please, let's make the interaction as engaging and exciting as possible so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. I would encourage that you use the chat box, especially when you have questions. That way, as I'm going on, I can hear you, or I can read you, and then I can reply you. Somebody said my voice is not loud. Can you all hear me? If you can, please type in the chat box.
You are audible, ma. You are audible, ma.
Okay, somebody, yes. I feel as if I'm usually loud enough, even without, so that's why I was surprised. Thank you very much for all the people who are responding. So I can make it academic. I can tell you, go through the slides and tell you what Lagos State is and what we're doing. But I'm going to tell you the truth as it is. If the people who know me have been around many MDAs, they know that I'm very factual. We will try to make it academic a bit because this is what this environment is about, but we'll also speak to the facts because I'm sure the people on this call want to hear what the facts are. I've sat on both sides of the table. I've applied. I've been a director of admin under whose authority or whose remit it was to work with, especially if you've worked in a parent ministry, under whose remit it was to guide officers through this process. And now I'm on this side of the table again. So I've seen it from every angle. So I'm going to try to be fair. I'm going to try to be real. Let's start with what Lagos State is. Nobody needs to tell us that we are the biggest subnational, that our public service is comparable to none. We are the only ones who give the federal civil service some sort of headache in this Nigeria. But we're not satisfied with where we are. We want to be the sub-Saharan leader. We want to compare with the Singaporean public service, civil service indeed, and even with the UK civil service that we're modeled after. To get to where we aspire to, because we cannot just stop and say we're the best in Nigeria. To get to where we're aspiring to, there's nothing to do but to keep learning, to keep striving, to keep improving. And that's the essence of training. Tonight, I'm going to learn from you. You're going to learn from me. Because when I hear the questions, when I read the comments, I'm going to understand what you are thinking as well. I think between us tonight, we may even be able to do something about the bond issue because it's a very touchy, very contentious issue. I know a lot of people are not happy about it. But you know, where there are no rules, that's what the Yorùbá say. Ìlú tí ò bá sí òfin, kò ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀. If we want to maintain a structure that will outlast us, we must have rules, and those rules must be strictly followed. But as human beings, the one thing we don't like is rules. Anything that ties us, down, anything that keeps us on the straight and narrow. That's our nature. So defining what the Lagos State civil service is. Let's keep it to the civil service because public servants, it's a bit wide. The civil service, we are the ones who are particularly bound by these rules. You'll agree that over the years, this Lagos State public service has grown in leaps and bounds. This is not the public service of Mr. Housing Rights. They were dealing with simpler issues. They had a smaller population. The way Lagos has grown, I'm not sure anybody expected it. The number of people who come into Lagos on a daily basis and do not leave, who believe that the streets of Lagos they're lined with gold. And governance rests on our shoulders. The public service has no choice but to cope with the problems of today, because what is our greatest strength is that problem. When people talk about selling anything, going to Nigeria to do it, they're talking about Lagos because of the population of Lagos. So it's our greatest strength, it's our greatest challenge. And we are the ones who must deal with it on a daily basis. How do people deal? How do they evolve from a stagnant, an old, a restricted, ancient sort of civil service structure to a proactive one that is dealing with today's problems? Is in training, is in advancing our careers, is in embracing modern best practices, is in studying over and above. So we're going to start I think study approvals, we should layer it. Because they are not simply bureaucratic formalities. They are deliberate mechanisms. That's what I'll call them, deliberate mechanisms to ensure that public resources that are invested in training, education, and skill enhancement are optimized for the collective good of the people of Lagos. I'm sure you are aware that sometimes government takes it upon itself to train its staff. I mean, long-term training. For instance, there was this doctor who was sent abroad by the state to study neonatal something or the other. It's something that has to do with dealing with babies in the womb and then when they are born preterm. When Lagos State realizes that this skill that you are going to gain is so rare, so important, that when it comes to our tertiary medical institution, it will save lives, then Lagos State will commit to training you in that. On the flip side, Lagos State expects that that same commitment, that financial commitment, that belief, that hope that the state has vested in that person will be repaid in the work that you do thereafter and in the training, cascading of that same knowledge to others so that there are many people who can do this same thing. But that is not always the case. What I've found is that, you know, our further studies is divided into study leave with pay and study leave without pay. And I know many of you know that we have the most applications for study leave without pay. There's a season between 2019 and 2023 when we had the biggest exodus of staff under study leave without pay approvals. How many people know what that season is called in Nigeria? Please put it in the chat box. It's still an ongoing season, but we had for us in further studies. Oh goodness. You are too right. I see you, Oli. Japa. So we had between 2019 and 2023, I won't tell you how many people left, but what I can tell you for a fact is that of the people who left, less than 10% of them came back. You know we're in 2025 now. So as at today, for the number that should have resumed at their duty posts, we had less than 10%. I'm not speaking off the top of my head. These are facts. You know, men can lie, women can lie. Facts don't lie. The data will never lie. So we start with the data. We analyzed it. They call it slice and dice. And we saw, because I kept on saying, what does a bond do? What does a bond do? All over the world, bonding is standard. It's legal. It's for both parties. I don't want to go into it now so that I don't derail, but what does it really do for us in the end? That's what I'm trying to say. But let's take it step by step so that we don't lose track. So we want to demystify the processes that govern study leave approvals, bonding, capacity building. I don't know whether I should take it from the simplest thing, which is capacity building. I'm looking at time. When you are having fun, time flies. Capacity building is about you taking charge. You can flip the slides. I'm going through them not as, I'm speaking to them, but I'm not reading through. So for the people who are going to look at them later, yes, we've talked about Lagos being the most dynamic public sector institution. We've talked about being the first in Nigeria, and we're aiming to be the first in Africa. Yes, we've talked about bond agreements. There are safeguards. And so we are here now. Thank you. The objective of the presentation, the primary objective of this presentation is to demystify the processes. I was saying, yes, that govern study approvals, bonding, and capacity building in the civil service. For many officers, the requirements often appear complex, and the absence of a single consolidated reference point creates confusion. And I understand perfectly that confusion. Like I said, I've sat on all sides. For many directors of admin and HR, along with the L&D officers in every MDA, I like to think our work is sort of, there's a component that is guidance and counseling. So people want to go on study leave. I believe everyone should have an aspiration. You know, when we stop learning, we die. If you are not physically dead, the brain is dying. Dementia is setting in. That's when you become so forgetful. But a brain that is actively learning, that's why you see aged playing Sudoku. They are doing mental maths. They're trying to keep the brain active. Same thing with us. We're always learning. And it's not just to keep the brain active. Like I had said earlier, it's to keep up with the best practices all over the world. You cannot say what you knew in university at that time, especially for the people who left 30, 20 years ago, is what you will be using today to address the problems that Lagosians are facing. We have the blue line, we have the red line. We were here before the rail came. We're waiting for green and white. You cannot stay in one place and say, oh, no matter what they do, I'll keep up with it. No, you must read, you must learn, you must widen your horizon, you must be interested in what's happening all over the world. So besides government training, you must own it. You must own it yourself. Your learning is your personal responsibility. I said I'll start at capacity building because it's easy. But again, I don't want to lose track of the slides because it will be like, it will become confusing. I'm trying to just take the easiest and fastest so we have time to deal with the more technical one. But no matter what order, I promise to do, especially with the bond. I know there's quite an issue with that. So next slide, please. So we're addressing these issues to empower civil servants so that they can take the right decisions. And like I said, the directors of admin and the L&D officers, there's a guidance and counseling component to the things they do because people look up to you for you know, the rules. We said that these rules, the extant laws, they are not in one place. Circular after circular, year after year, time after time, one circular after another. We have one major one in 2024, I think it was February. And it addresses a lot of these things. Well, many people don't know. I expect that directors of admin and HR have that circular. I expect that their L&D officers have it somewhere. They're looking at it constantly. So that when somebody comes and says, oh, I would like to go to school, it's a valid desire. It behoves on that director to look at that aspiration and say, oh, this is my candid advice to you. I think you should check that NUC has accredited this institution, that NUC has accredited this course of study. I don't think this course of study is relevant to your current cadre. Those kind of Mrs. Alimi, so that they will know that you are in charge of circulars. She has told us the date. I said February 2024. She said February 14th, Valentine's Day. Thank you very much. So the director of admin and the L&D officers must be the repertoire of knowledge. I'm not expecting every professional to have the circulars in their hands. But I believe that when you consult with your directors of administration and your L&D officers, because they will know better, they are the ones who will say, oh, the last circular said, for instance, Rome Business School, there was that circular. Soon after, there was another circular. There's a lot of guidance in that circular. People went ahead to apply. Yes. The second circular then said, these are the circumstances. All the rules guiding further studies remain in place. That means you want to go to Rome Business School, you read it in an HOS circular. Did you write an intention? Did you write that letter? Through your head of department, through your director of administration, through your accounting officer, to the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Establishment? No, you just read the first one and didn't see the second one. I'm expecting that the directors of admin and the L&D officers will take ownership of guidance with regard to further studies. Everybody should be abreast of circulars. They are on Alausa Sabi. But in this instance, just because of the complications and intricacies, so that we can have consistent application statewide, I'm encouraging directors of admin to please keep abreast, in particular, of further studies circulars. Please, let's go on. Let me tell you about study approvals in the Lagos State Civil Service. Please, you can put in the chat box which ones you know. Which further studies approvals do you know? I'm not seeing your messages yet. I'm just waiting. Okay, I'm seeing the types of leave. I'm talking about further studies approval. When you write your intention for further studies, which ones are you asking for? Yes, Dr. Daramola, with or without pay. Thank you very much. So study leave with pay is which one? Let me see whether I'm teaching people who can teach me. Part-time. No, Dupe Adeshe, not necessarily. Study leave with pay is for part-time. No, not necessarily. You get paid while you are studying. And I talked about a doctor who went outside the country to study something that was so critical in the tertiary medical institution, and government paid for that. It's not very common, those scholarships, is not. So let's not lie, it's not very common, but it exists. So study leave with pay is full-time study where government continues to pay your monthly salary. Or part-time study where you are at work and government is paying. Somebody says salary with study. I like that. Very simple. You are studying with your salary. Your salary is intact. So every month your alert still comes in. And without pay is when you go to school, usually full-time, but you don't take any pay. Your salary is suspended until your return. So when your salary is not paid, that's where we have an issue with the bonding. We will get to that. I'm sure a lot of people have opinions about that. Where study leave without pay comes with a bond. So the next slide, sir. Let me just talk about that slide. While we're guided by the public service rules, there are many other things too that are considered when you want to go on study leave, without pay. We're looking at things like how relevant is what you want to go and study. First of all, how many years have you spent? You know, you have to have been confirmed. There are many privileges in the civil service that you are not entitled to until you are confirmed. This is one of them. So the small window that we created, which we call new entrants approval, is just a forward-thinking approval to say that someone has started to better himself or herself before that person was employed. For instance, the person started ICANN, maybe took the diet in November 2024, was employed in January 2025. Is it fair to say you cannot continue until you clock 2 years in service, because that's when you'll be confirmed? Is it fair to do that? At all. Thank you, Mrs. Babarinde. It's not fair. So because of that, there's that window of opportunity called the new entrants approval, where that person who started before, please note that it is before, because it's very contentious, as simple as I've made it sound to you. There are people who will say, no, I started Kinikon in January, and you will find that when they bring the documents, the day their auntie said, come to Civil Service Commission, is the day they went to register. So how do we put a check? We want to see. If you said you've started ICANN, show us the diet that you started with. We're not saying pass it. Some people say it's so hard, but attempt it. Let's know there was true intention. It's not because you heard that they were going to employ you that you went to quickly register. No, you attempted November 2024. Oh, unfortunately, you didn't pass. No problem. We are going to allow you to continue and pray for you that you will pass. That's the new entrant approval that we're talking about. I'd also like directors of admin and L&D officers to take note so you can guide people appropriately. They have 6 months when they come into service to quickly apply and provide us all the documentation so that they can get that opportunity to continue. I just quickly went to that because we're talking about real things that you can do in your MDAs. So the policy framework and guidelines, the public service rules. These rules, they were there before me. I don't know, is it Lord Lugard that left this rule? We started with the public service rules and they've been revised and revised and revised. We have 2015 and we have an ongoing review that is going to talk about a myriad of new things. New, the new world of work from home, sexual harassment, everything you can imagine is in the new rules. It will address a wide range of issues that the 2015 revision did not. We're hoping that it will come out this year and that by the time it's out, it even further studies and bonding, even a copy of of our bond, so that nobody can say, I don't know. Once you pick up a copy of the public service rules, everything you want to know is inside it. Somebody is talking about the caption of our letter, the application letter, what you should read. We sometimes tell people that when you don't say it is intention, it's deliberate. Sometimes they started because it should actually be intention. But can you be intending to do something that you spent 6 months doing already? It's not possible. This is why when there's a PMB, it will sound like there's war. It's not war if we follow the rules. Oh, see Mrs. Lano. Oh, thank you for reminding me that when I mentioned new entrant, 6 months, blah, 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 I didn't tell you that that new entrant must have indicated it during that employment PMB, when they had the PMB appointment. And that officer faced that panel. He or she should have mentioned, oh, I'm currently undergoing this. I'm currently doing an MBA in Unilag. I'm currently doing, oh, I took, so that is noted in the minutes. It is very true. Anyway, to go back to this, intention is intentional. Intention cannot be after the fact. Please, let's get it right. If I intend to go to school, that's why we close it. And people are upset that we say, for instance, that we've closed the 24-25 session, and we did that in April, yes, of this year. So for the preceding year's academic session, we will end it in April of the new year. So we're now currently, most schools across the world are now in the 25-26 session. We're taking all those applications until April of 2026, when we will close it, because it cannot be indefinite. We can't leave it open forever. And then we have 2 centralized personnel management board meetings, I'm sure you know about them, where we consider all the PMB minutes and decisions across MDAs, and all the statutory commissions and parent ministries are represented at that CPMB. We have one in June. We sometimes push it into July so that we are able to put together all the PMBs across MDAs, and then we have the final one at the end of November. We encourage that ministries have at least, at the very least, 2 PMBs for further studies a year, so that no matter when your people apply, no matter what they're applying to study, you are able to capture them in one PMB that makes it into the CPMB. We don't finish the CPMB in, say, May, in June, and then you say, oh, we were unable to do it because there was no money. So the policy framework is shaped by circulars and directives issued by the Ministry of Establishments and Training through the Office of the Head of Service. And it includes guidance on eligibility with respect to confirmation, the difference between full-time and part-time, relevance of the course of study that is proposed. This is a contentious issue, because there was a meeting recently where a few of the permanent secretaries took me up on what is relevant. So I'm saying, for instance, that you can be a director of finance and admin, or let's say a chief finance and accounts officer, sorry, F&A, finance and accounts officer, pardon me. And then you tell us that you want to do a master's in fine arts. Please, how do I reconcile that? When we say relevance, it must be relevant to your current cadre and position. It must also be relevant to the civil service as a whole. You forget that we are looking at a bigger picture. The reason why you are writing through all those people that you are working with is because they're looking at whether it's possible to leave you at this time. Let's say you're an engineer and you are working in, let's say, Ministry of Works. Maybe at that time you are supervising a part of the rail project that government just flagged off, loaned money to start. And then you come and say, oh, at this time, I want to pursue a master's degree in music. One, it's not relevant. Let's even say you wanted to go and do a PhD in civil engineering. We would say, but the timing, we don't know that. You know, you've written through your MDA, through all the levels. Somebody that is going to flag it and say, engineer so and so has just been detailed to oversee this part of the project, so critical, at this time we can't release him. So the government as a whole must be considered, side by side with your desire to improve yourself. We can't have too many people going, for instance, away. If we say everybody who desires to go, don't bother to face a PMB, just go. Can you imagine Alausa being empty? So it's a delicate balance between what is good for the system, what is good for you. Whether what you want to study will advance Lagos, is good for the people of Lagos, and is good for you. I tell people no knowledge is lost. Absolutely no knowledge. But two truths can coexist. While no knowledge is lost, the knowledge that you are seeking to pursue now and gain, of what benefit is it to where you are today? That must be clear. And that's why sometimes when the training department officers come for these PMBs, they put their foot down and say, but it is not relevant. It is just not relevant. Sometimes there's a backstory. For instance, somebody is employed in Last one as a traffic officer, the person is hoping to cross over to, let me see, which cadre? An interesting cadre, maybe planning or something. And so the person says, I'm doing a master's in geographic information systems. And we begin to argue. Indeed, there's a locational issue there, you know, you're learning to chart, to draw maps, cartography and all. But really, does a traffic officer need it? Sometimes once that application is made, we can see the end game. And if we empty some of those cadres, we'll have an immediate problem. That means that dispensation to recruit becomes null and void. And immediately, that agency is going back to the governor. Recruited 300. In 6 months, they're going back again to say we need to recruit another 200. They just recruited. The people have moved. So you see, there's a need to maintain a balance. And that's why it looks like the rules are applied somewhat, you know, without, some people say without a human face, without bending. It's because the people who are applying those rules, they need to maintain a delicate balance. Next slide, please. Somebody is saying here that I should ensure that retrospective approval is addressed. Yeah, maybe I should just quickly address it now. Retrospective approval is approval for a course of study that was taken without approval. So, for instance, I went to Unilag or last week for an MPA. I didn't write that I was going to go because I didn't know. Okay, I'll give you a real life example. Let's not even take hypothetical. I went for a PMB and that officer had done a master's in land governance. Fantastic. Because that officer is in the Lands Bureau. And I said to him, this is a fantastic course of study. I can see you doing great things for Lands Bureau, but there's no approval. And he said at the time he didn't know. Maybe not. For most people, Madam Olaemi Bello, they are in service, but they claim ignorance. When I went to school, I didn't know. When I started, I didn't know. That's why I talked about the place of guidance and counseling for directors of admin and HR and for L&D officers. So indeed, he didn't know from what I gathered. And he had gone to study something that would be so beneficial to his agency and would so help his career. But the rules are the rules. The only hope that that kind of person has today is that, as was done in 2023, where over 8,000 people applied and got retrospective approval. I'm praying for him that before the end of this administration, there will be another opportunity like that. And if there are people on this call who have that kind of issue, I'm praying for you too, that there will be that kind of opportunity. Please keep your ears open. That was in 2023, over 8,000. So please keep your ears to the ground. Make sure you are listening, you are reading circulars, you are on Alausa Sabi, so that if there's any opportunity, whether you studied in 2002 or in 2024, that thing you studied without the approval of the Ministry of Establishments will be considered. Because until government recognizes what you've studied, is in your pocket. You own the knowledge, but you cannot declare that certificate to us. So I don't want to go back because I'm looking at time. I've told you that the application must go through the MDA, and I told you why. So the MDA knows the day-to-day running, what they need, who needs it. And we say that the letters, your intention, your applications, those intention for further studies applications shouldn't come to us. They should be in the officer's file for when we come to the PMB in your agency. Because if we keep those letters, we have piles and piles of them. And there's no guarantee that the day we are coming to your agency, we're able to sort through and find, we're binding them. This is for transportation. This is for environment. Then they say, oh, environment, look for Kai, look for. So after all that, what I met, and I think it makes sense, is that please keep the application signed you must have one in that officer's file. So that official formal application is extremely important. You don't get what you don't apply for. Okay, Mr. Balogun was saying that the union made a case for the over 8,000 that I was talking about in 2023. So let's pray that the union will make a case for another number. But we are going to encourage, and that's what he's also saying, that people begin to follow due process. You know, the rules are for our benefit. So if the MDA thinks they can release the person for full-time, yes. If they think that the person should consider part-time study so that they don't lose all the skill, sometimes they will appeal to that person. That's the place of the L&D officer and the director, admin, and HR. Let's quickly move forward, because I have another meeting soon. Let's quickly move forward. And I said it. I said time flies when you are having fun. I knew that time will fly like this. So I talked about the PMBs, so maybe we'll be able to fly here, yes. I talked about the PMBs and I said we should please try to hold the PMBs at least 2 times a year so that they are timed towards the CPMs, that's the Centralized Personnel Management Board meetings. Sometimes MDAs will tell us that they didn't hold those PMBs because of money. They didn't get the approvals. And we say, no matter what, you would have goodwill. You know, goodwill is a currency. With some directors, with some PAMSECs, please, directors of admin, whatever it costs, because people's career, their tomorrow, their joy, you know, people work on emotions. It's based on how well they are treated. Whatever it will cost, whether you're going to call in your favors, use your goodwill, please hold the PMB. You can even promise, you know, later, whenever we have money, we're going to send to you or whatever, or just say, please, this is the challenge. And I have so many officers that are waiting. Somehow, you know, even the way they apply themselves when they are happy, the state will be better off for it. Please don't let's deny people the opportunity to move forward. I'm just appealing, because sometimes when I hear these stories, they're so heartbreaking that all these applications were lying fallow because the director of admin said there was no approval. Please, we beg you. Oh, goodness. I'm seeing something here. So the ministry must attend the PMB, the Ministry of Establishments and Training. Members of the training department will be there. They will review the application based on all the things we've talked about, and they will say whether, you know, that application is approved or not on the spot. In very rare cases, they will come back and then we'll review it together. Even though before they go to those PMBs, they are reviewed, to be honest with you. That's why you see we sit together and we debate and debate and debate. So when you see that person come there and stand their ground, you'll be wondering why. So Mrs. Lano is saying, don't rush so that we can understand and assimilate. I hope you're assimilating now. I know I'm trying to take it layer by layer, but I'm conscious that time is speeding away. Now, when the PMB, when that meeting ends, the minutes are sent to all the board members and signed. And we also signed, especially when it aligns with what was agreed at that meeting. Sometimes you see their arms are twisted, but we try to stand our ground, because if you want to put sentiments in everything, we will lose the very essence of the civil service. We will leave it worse than we met it, and that's not our prayer. I tell people I'm a second-generation civil servant. I know how I met it. I know how I want to leave it. So when I see something that I think will damage the civil service, where the future is not guaranteed, you will see me saying no. No matter how much I smile, I will just say, no, it will not happen. So when the approval is granted, the officer is formally notified, and the terms of the approval, whether it is with pay or without pay or bonded, they're clearly stated. Let me quickly go to bonding, because it's such a contentious issue. Bonding is for both the officer and the state. When the approval is given, if you are to study for 3 years, if that's what you are approved to study for, or let's say 2, which is a conventional master's degree time frame, you are bonded for 3 years. That's 1 year on top of the time that you are spending outside of the system, with or without pay. If you request for an extension, you are given a maximum of 1 year. That extension could be because there were issues in the school, there were issues with the session, there was an issue with maybe your exam, you needed to pass one more, you have one outstanding, things like that. We understand that there may be issues that will cause you not to finish when you're supposed to finish, but the maximum extension is 1 year. If you are being paid, that extra year is without pay. So if you were collecting salary for the 2 years, if you enter into the 3rd year, there's no payment. The bond is for 3 years in that instance. If you go to school like the medical sector, if say it's 6 years, maybe it's residency, whatever it is, you are then bonded for the number of years plus 1. Now, the bond issue, let me just lay our cards on the table so that we don't drag the issue. All of us have very different opinions. But like I said, data doesn't lie. If we bonded people and they haven't come back, then what are we doing? The head of service is so concerned about this bond. And then our governor, the SAN, had taught us that if you have a naughty issue, the issue is very difficult to resolve. Put everybody on one table. Don't let it drag for 2 years, going between ministry and department and agency. No. Bring everybody to one table, debate it there, and reach a concurrence. So what we did with the bond issue is we went to the head of service and he called a meeting, he chaired it. And we had the Ministry of Justice, we had the Civil Service Commission, we had the Ministry of Finance, we had the Accountant General's Office and CPDVD. For those of you who know, that's our central payroll and validation department. So we had, of course, establishments and public service office. Everybody, stakeholders in this bond issue, to sit down and see what can we do? What have we not done well? Why is it not working? Governor Fashola used to say that 2 people sign an agreement is just paper. The integrity of the people who are signing, in this case, is an institution and an individual. He says that's what matters. You can sign, it can be a heap of paper, and you put pen to it quickly. But the integrity of the 2 people agreeing is what matters. They can decide in their hearts that they're just signing this paper, and nothing will come out of it. The CIPM president, he was lecturing at an event that I attended, and he said Lagos has signed so many agreements, we can build a bridge across the lagoon. I don't know if that's true. But it just goes to say that agreements, because this is legal, the bond is a legal and it's a binding document that people don't necessarily want to honor, even if it is legal. It's enforceable. It's enforceable means you can go to court. And in fact, Lagos State has been taken to court on this bond issue. And the Ministry of Justice had to go and defend us there. So the bond is beyond just paper. It's beyond, Ministry of Exam said, come and sign. No, it's actually a legally enforceable document that when you sign, binds you to learn at government's instance or your own, but allowed by government, but to come back and cascade the learning. So whether we are sending you or not, what Lagos State says is, when you go without pay, which is where people like to default, that's where we have almost less than 10% of people coming back. When you go without pay, you have still held on to an establishment position. And government leaves that position and says, we have this position, chief admin and HR officer, grade level 14, step 7, and they are projecting every year. So government says that for that establishment position that they are keeping for you, you owe the state something. But between all of us on this call, we know that when people are going, they know they are not coming back. Those people that didn't come back knew they weren't coming back. You know, you want to know the truth? We knew when we were talking to them on that table, this person is not likely to come back. But the person wants soft landing. The person wants a cushion. The person wants to say, if I go to Canada and the streets are not lined with gold and they don't pick dollars, Canadian dollars on the road, if there's a problem, can I come back? Let me quickly leave this work where it is so that if anything, I can run back to my Lagos. If London is harsh, I can come back. That's why people, it's not that they don't know they're not, but they don't want to resign. So when they don't come back, it's actually just what they had planned to do from the start. But they are saying we didn't collect government money anyway. Government didn't sponsor us and we're not collecting salary. What do we owe? We don't owe anything. But government is saying no. That's unfair to the employer. Because when you said you were coming back, the employer trusted you. However, going back to what I said, because this is a debatable issue, we've sat at the table and I mentioned all the stakeholders and we've talked and talked and talked about this. So we're coming out with a different position with a reviewed bond form. Like I said, it will be inside the new revised public service rules. We're also going to look at what is fair. Are we a bit too harsh? But are people being fair to government? So we want to balance everything. So for the bond, I will appeal that we please keep our gunpowder dry. Don't fire yet. Those I want to ask Ms. Animation 10,000 questions. No. Let the head of service come out with his own final position based on this meeting with everybody who is involved. And after hearing everybody's position, including the Ministry of, particularly, let me say the Ministry of Justice, whose lawyers have gone to court over this matter. They have a very strong position too. So in the end, I believe that we'll come out with something that is fair to the state and to the officers who are going away. We can't say people shouldn't go. That's what we cannot say. Bonding is about return on investment. For those who are sponsored, I mean, that one is completely unfair. But the more contentious one is the one where the person has gone on study leave without pay. Why? The person will say, why are you bonding me? What am I, what do I really owe in terms of, in contract, they call it consideration. What's the consideration? Did I pay for? What did you pay me that you are holding me to now? So that's the heart of that discussion. Please give us time. We will come back to you on it. Let me see what I can quickly go to again. I think we're going to have to continue this conversation on another day because there's so much to talk about in further studies. Okay, training. Let's quickly talk about capacity building as a strategic imperative. Training. Let me just, maybe 5 minutes, because I'm looking at the time also. Training. I found that when I was outside of here, I used to say, who goes for training? Because if you put together 20 civil servants, maybe you see them around the staff canteen, the old staff, and have you gone for training? They say, no. I say, is it your juju that goes for training? Who are the people who actually go for training? Who does the Ministry of Establishments train? So when I go for the training opening ceremonies, I like to ask, how many of you have gone for training before? In the last 2 years, who has been trained? A few hands will come up. Sometimes people won't even want to admit. But when I say, and that's what I like to hear, how many people have, I just wondering, how did their name even come up? How did they find themselves in this place? The majority will now raise their hands. Sometimes I say, take a picture of them. Because I'm like, this is really what we need. Outside of this ministry, I felt like a victim myself. So coming here, I know what I'm looking out for. I want training to spread. Everybody should be trained. Nobody should sit idle. I mean, there's what I'm trying to say is that, like I said, you have to own your training, your own personal development, self-development. But when it comes to the one that government is funding, yes, we also owe it to you. And I tell people at every training, you can ask, because they're spread all over the states, that I don't think anybody should beg for it. I don't believe that government should pay for something and I should work for government and know somebody before I'll get it. No, that's my own personal opinion. And that's the way I treat training now. But anything that is done by men is subject to abuse. In fact, let me tell you, sometimes when I see a name and I say, I've seen this name before, everybody will be looking at the name and, hey, is it really? I said, I've seen it before. And when we check, they don't know that they are repeating it. They are just doing it. You know, some names just look nice. Abani Konda, Abani. You will put it today, put it. I said, don't you know this name has appeared? Ah, I didn't know. So let me tell you what government is doing to address that. And I think I'll close on that note. The governor has approved what they call a staff training management system. The staff training management system is a software that will help with nominations. Is integrated with our HR payroll. You know, we have a unique identifier. That's our Oracle number. So if the command is pick 100 admin and HR officers between levels 13 and 14, it will pick. The staff training management system is up and running. And that even though we're trying very, very, very hard to spread the training, it will even be better. Because right now we are facing ministries. So if you go to a ministry where maybe 70 people have gone on some training in the last 2-3 months, there's no way you will stand with 5 of them and say, have you been trained? Not one person, oh yes, some of us went last week. But when we do generic trainings that we pick service-wide, I'm not too impressed with the spread. So nowadays, you will find that we're facing the Ministry of Justice, we're facing the Ministry of Commerce, we have trade officers, cooperative officers, we have, who else do we have there? Commercial officers. And when you go there, we're saying pick, we ask the ministry, please, in this your 3 cadres, give us 100 people. And you will see that when those people are sitting down, you ask them, have you gone for, we don't even know how it happened. This year, we've trained 300 social workers. Somebody said, what about auditors? We've trained about 150 auditors. So if you haven't been trained, I don't know what's happening. About 150. And we have pictures. So we're trying to spread the training across everyone because in the end, it is a trained workforce that can deliver the Lagos of our dreams. It's a workforce that is constantly being upskilled that can take us to that dreamland, that greater Lagos rising. And that's where we are headed. I don't know how many of you know about the Public Service Accelerator Program. I'm jumping into something else quickly. So we had 100 staff who, in the band grade level 12 to 14, who applied and were picked for the Public Service Accelerator Program. And I think for me, it was a very well done selection. We had outsiders on the team. Fantastic. And you will see that everywhere you are looking for merit, you are looking for people who are doing more than they should, who step out of the ordinary, who put in more. These people are always there. Something is right about the way they were picked. And when they came together and brought out ideas that could change the service, we were all in awe. Is this our same civil service? We also have the Public-Private Industry Exchange Program. That one started in 2021, actually, but was kicked off this year. We had some of them on this call. We had civil servants go to MTN and work there for 3 months. Some were in Fair Money, System Spec, Wimbies. They were in Charterhouse, the most expensive education officers, the most expensive school in Nigeria today. They had to do police reports and this and that. Yeah, but eventually they were there. And they really had an amazing time in those institutions. They came back with ideas. Somebody was telling me about how in MTN they do the 360 review and what we can do differently. They are already, the PSAP participants, I know they're already cascading the knowledge. We're asking them to have pass-it-on sessions where they sit with their staff. Yes, I know some of you were at U-Lesson. Yes. It was fantastic, honestly. These are the things I've seen in these few months that make me have hope for the tomorrow of the civil service. So Lagos State government is doing things differently. A lot of things are happening outside of your small environment. Please look out for them. When the opportunities come, please grab them. Don't say it's those things, it's them. No. I met the PSAP participants on that course where they had people from all over talking to them, teaching, learning. Even the governor had a session with them online. Most of it was online. Nobody had to leave their office. They only had a few physical sessions. They had team bonding and all. It was private sector standard. And they matched that standard. I'm super, super proud of the PSAP participants. I'm super proud of the PPE Industry Exchange participants. And I'm looking at the tomorrow of the civil service, and now I have hope that there's a tomorrow. Somebody said I'm interested if it involves senior management level. Yes. So we're looking at what to do at each level. But at the 12 to 14 level, you will agree with me that we're catching them at a time when they're most malleable, where their minds, where minds are most susceptible to change, where you can actually mold the directors of tomorrow. And once you do that, oh goodness, you can imagine what those directors will look like in the next decade, what those permanent secretaries will look like in the next decade. So we're really is the civil service of the future. That's what I see when I see PSAP. Industry Exchange had a few senior management level officers actually. But of course, we're going to do more. So please don't think it is all over. We're hoping that by next year, we will do, the next leg of it. So please look out for that also. My permanent secretary is here saying, well done, my DT. Thank you so much, ma'am. So I don't want to take too much of your time. That's why I ran through things that I think you should really pay attention to. And I know that you may have one or two questions. I don't know how many I can take, but I thank you for listening. I've told you to keep your gunpowder dry on the issue of the bond because the HOS is sitting right on it. And once this revised public service rules comes out, everything will be in it. I assure you. This is what we're working towards. My permanent secretary is on that team. This is what everybody is waiting for. So that when the public service rules is out, all these questions that we're asking, they will be answered. Thank you very much. Can we, I don't know how we'll schedule a second session so that we can go into other things, but I've tried to touch everywhere in the short time. It wasn't short, but it was short. Time is short when you are having fun. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Matt. In fact, it's like we continue this meeting till 12 o'clock. Very, 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 very impactful, Mark. In fact, I'm happy that you have time for us. I've been pursuing Madam now since 6 months now.
It's not up to 6 months, but yeah, we know.
When she said, I think I'm okay. I say, glory be to God. Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you.
And like Madam said, I'm proud of, I'm a proud part of Accelerator. So I'm Accelerator Jamie too. So I love that, and I learned many things there, and I give kudos to Ministry of Establishment on that. And I'm looking forward to that industrial exchange
program.
Exchange program that you mentioned. So I'll be happy to key into that too if that opportunity comes. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, my permanent secretary, Madam. Thank you very much. My always support our program. Yeah, like she said, please, let's keep on learning. Let's keep learning. Don't let us wait for government. Government have many to do. Like what we are doing now, this is self-sponsor. I sponsor this by myself, but this particular program today, sponsored by the union, Association of Civil Servants, Nigeria, Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, Lagos State branch, under the able chairman, Mr. Balogun Olusegun. He called me that, Jami, what can we do to support you in what you are doing? Or is anybody paying you? I said, well, God is paying me, and my peers and co, and they are paying me too with support and the kudos.
Well
So
done.
thank you
Well
very
done.
much, ma. Thank you very
Well
much,
done.
ma. So he just said, I said, okay, send your account to me, and he support us with a tangible something that we can be able to make this call today. So please, everyone on this call, help me appreciate the chairman union for that support. So
Thank you, Chairman.
yeah, thank you, ma. So we have just 30 minutes for any question. 30 minutes, because you heard madam very well. She says she has another meeting upon meeting. So we have
I don't have 30 minutes, sorry. Okay, 12.
Okay, 12. Okay, we have
I have
10
to join
minutes.
by
We
latest
have 10.
8:30.
Okay, we have 10 minutes. Raise your hand, ask your question, then the chat box. Maybe we should allow 3 persons on the, okay. Please, let's keep our question brief. No story. Just ask question, then let our guests answer you. I believe you heard her very well and you understand that. Please don't let us ask a long question. So out of 10 minutes, we have spent 2 minutes. So Oluwalanke Omounmi. Okay, unmute yourself, please, briefly.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, DT. It was very well insightful. I wanted to ask one question. So when we're explaining about the transferring of posts, like saying I want to do another course. For example, I want to do fine arts. Now I love arts, but circumstances made me do economics, and I'm now employed as a planner. And then I realized, oh, art is doing well. And in the agency I'm in, I'm already drawing, I'm doing things, I'm already. And then I decided to convert. They need me, but I like to go. Can't a staff just consider me having this requisite knowledge and being able to make impact already in that field I am in, and still give me my letter and allow me to go to another kidda? Thank you.
So I said before that, thank you, Umi, for that. I don't know, that question, you have a passion, but you have an occupation. I think that's correct. So your passion is art, but you're a planner. Okay, maybe there's an element of drawing, of cartography in it, but you will agree with me that your passion has to be structured. If we leave you to fly without passion, you are not going to do much on your table, because the work that you do is not fine art. The work that you do is precise, is cartography. It's checking whether houses are built to specification, whether locations align with the master plan. So unless it's for proficiency, which it is really not, if we are considering fine art and cartography, if you really want to change to what in the civil service would fine art do for you? I think the best thing is to advise such a person, please keep your day job. It's only the children of the very rich that toy with their passion as their day job. Keep your day job. Do what you do and do it well. Study things that improve what you are doing on a daily basis. Keep that passion to the weekends. If you like to draw, bring out on the weekends, you can paint anything that you like. But on the weekdays, please face what you do that earns you an income. And you can do things that are similar. You don't need to deviate into fine art. Fine art can just be your hobby. To go and study a master's in it, what would it really do? Let's be sincere. That's why we have those rules in place, because passion must also be structured. If we leave all the structures and let loose, everybody will do everything and we will not have the civil service that we desire.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We have 6 minutes more. Lano Kudirat, please be brief.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's still on the new entrance. You know,
Okay.
when people are coming in newly, they
Yes.
hardly know anything about informing the board that they are undergoing a particular study. If they don't ask them, they don't say anything.
Okay.
So in case they don't ask and they don't say anything, when they come in and they now want to apply for further studies, what do we do? Because I believe that their admission letter will show that they already started before their employment. So can they be
Yes.
considered even without it being in the minutes of meeting?
Thank you very much for that question. Let me quickly answer. Very simple. If you started before you came in, even if we don't cite the minutes of meeting, you will be allowed to continue. Because if there's evidence to say you started, and I gave the example of ICANN. And I said, if somebody took the November diet of 2024, pass or fail, and the person was employed in January of 2025, and that person comes to us and can show 1, registration, 2, diet registration and results, nothing says that that person should not continue.
Okay.
We are not going to hold the PMB minutes against that person. No.
Okay.
We just want
Thank you very much.
evidence that that person commenced before employment. That's what we
Employment.
really place our emphasis on.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, Mrs. Lano. Oluwakemi, please, 2 minutes. Oluwakemi.
Yes, I'm here, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma.
Thank you so much for the time, ma. Okay, so my question, for example, somebody that has been given approval for further study, and for some reasons, the person could not go and want to change course or change institution at the same time. How can such a person go about it, ma?
So there's a letter that you write to the Ministry of Establishments if you are changing course or if you are changing institution. We understand that it can happen. It will be unrealistic to say it cannot happen. So there's a letter that you write to apply to change your course. There's another similar letter that you write if you are changing your institution. The thing is that the person who gave you approval must know. If you apply to study a master's in public admin and you are now doing business admin, it's only fair that you let us know. If you apply to LASU and you are now going to Unilag, I think it's only fair also that you let us know. And if your academic year is changing, say what the approval you have is for 25-26, which is what we're running now, and you cannot go for some reason, you need to let us know that you are deferring it. So on all these points, information is key. That you notify the approving authority, 1, I'm changing course, or I'm changing institution, or I'm deferring my admission, therefore I'm not going this year. You know, when you're allowed to go this year, you're expected to graduate a certain year. That's what we have in our documents. So if you commence next year, you'll be graduating a year after we expect you back. So this is, I think for your question, the answer is that you must inform the Ministry of Establishments and Training. Nothing says you cannot change your institution, your course, or the year. Let me tell you the one that gives me problems, and I'm the one now dragging you back by a few minutes, is the National Open University of Nigeria. I have seen people who have gone to school for 10 years. I've seen people who have gone to school for 12 years. And I'm beginning to think the Open University allows you to defer. So they don't come back and say, I'm not in school. What will happen is they'll finally finish and then come with a 2019 approval and say, I got this approval in 2019 to complete in 2023. I'm here in 2025. I got it in 2016. I'm finishing this year. I thought I should let you know. No extension, nothing. And I understand that National Open University will continue to allow you to defer as many times because that's the structure of the place. But I want you to think with me and advise me. Can government leave it open-ended and say, oh, that time you didn't have money, you were sending your children to university? So you stopped when the first one went. You stopped when the second one went. You went, oh, everybody has finished now. Everybody is done. 8 years later, you now want to go for a 4-year course. So you come, you come to, it will be 12 years from the date you collected that approval. Is it fair on government? So what can we do? Please, if you have such ideas, just write to me. I would like to hear, because I think that there's safety in the multitude of counsel. What do we do about those kind of things? Thank you very much. Let's go to the next question quickly.
All right, ma. Yeah, okay, please. I will only pick one from this hand, and that one I'll just make tick tack, and pick one. Because we have only 3 minutes, and I want to, there is an important question on the chat box. So tick tack. Young blood, what is that name? Because of that young blood, I will not pick you. Okay, let me pick you, Sha. Young blood, please change your name. What's your name? Unmute yourself.
Please let somebody that has a real name ask a question.
Fumilayo Daramola. Fumilola.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, my DT.
Good evening.
Please be brief.
Okay, my question is, I think I have a case of an officer who's a new entrant. So he came in, he's actually having his BSc and he's also having ICANN at the same time. So in this case, since we do not approve two things at the same time, which one is advisable for him to take? Because he's actually finishing both at the same time. Thank you, ma.
So he came in on what level? So what cadre? What grade level?
Level 6, executive officer, accounts.
Okay, so he wants to
accounts.
cross. You know where his ICANN can take him
has
to?
rounded up. Okay.
You know where his ICANN can take him to?
Yes.
And you know where his BSc can take him to?
Yes.
I'm going to
So
leave
we
you to
advise
decide.
that I can. Thank you very much.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a very simple thing. ICANN will take him further than his BSc would. So yours is to advise. And that's our L&D officer from PSO doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very
I commend you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma. So let me go to the chat box. Mr. Otubu. He said, is it possible for an admin and HR officer to pursue an LLB Bachelor of Laws degree, possibly to make use of it after retirement? Will such a course be approved? Are you still with
me? Mr. Otubu. I've seen, I think we have a PAMSEC who is a lawyer. Yes, an admin officer who is a lawyer. I don't think that we will say at a certain level, we relax the rules. You know why? You won't convert when you are at that level. We know it's not for conversion. We know you are not going to change cadre. We know you are not going to cause establishment disparities. We know you just want to do it for proficiency. It's just for you. So there's a certain level. It's an unwritten code where we will let you go ahead and do it. You know the number of years you are going to spend studying law and then go to law school. So if you undertake that when you're on levels 15, 16, we know it's not because you want to become the next attorney general or solicitor general. It's because you want to know it for yourself and you want to use it maybe. So no problem. At some point, yes, we do. We will allow you. But yes, Mrs. Babarinde says it's self-actualization. Yes, when you reach a certain level, there are some things we do allow. There are some, not all. Not all. There's no blanket approval, but some on the basis of consideration, yes, some. So, Mr. Otubu, if you want to go, my PS says it's job enrichment. Yes. If we know that, if we know that when you get that LLB, you are the one that will be arguing our case for us. Yes. When we are going to meet with justice, you will sit on our side and we'll be talking the same language. No problem. But it won't be a lot of people. It won't be everybody either. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma. Our last one, but not the least. Latifat Babalola said, I sent a letter notifying them of the completion of my study.
Yes.
Then they said there is a disparity between the year I finished. It has jumped up.
No, don't worry. I can guess what is happening.
Yeah, I finished.
I can guess. You know,
Okay.
we answered a question similar to this, where somebody was asking if you don't start the year you said you will start. Have you found it?
Yes,
That
yes, ma.
question.
Yes, I found it.
You want to
Yes.
finish it or you want me to guess?
Anyway, this is the question. You said, then they said there is a disparity between year I finished and the year they wrote on my letter for approval for further study. This is from a younger colleague's true. The question is not straight. Maybe you can guess.
No. Yes, so I could have just guessed. So I think what happens is, you know, the question she asked, very similar to it. When my course changes, what should I do? I said notify a stab. When my institution changes, I said notify a stab. When I defer my course, say I'm not going in 25, 26, I want to go next year for whatever personal reason, also please notify a stab. When your approval is written, there is an end date. We cannot leave it open-ended. So if we're expecting you back, maybe you went 2 years ago, and we're thinking in 2026, you are coming with your completion. Then you come in 27 and say, I just finished. The number of years, those 2 years have lapsed. There was no letter for any extension. You are coming back in 3 years. They're going to tell you, no, it doesn't tally. We have an approval for you that says you are to return in 2026. How come you are returning in 2027? At the point where you were not going to commence when you said you would, you should have notified a stab. That way they know your 2 years will start counting from 26, not 25. So they're expecting you back in 2028. If there was any such communication, you will not have a problem. Please always communicate and let our directors of admin and our L&D officers also guide. I've been saying it over and over again. There's a guidance and counseling component of that seat, that job, that role. There's a huge guidance and counseling component. Please always guide the officers as to what to do at every point in time so they don't run foul of the rules and the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma. I don't know if you can spare us 2 minutes, ma. For I have 5 that raise their hand. Maybe you can just pick 2 from there. Your permission, ma.
Pick one, please.
Okay,
My phone
one.
is beeping. Please, pick one.
Tick tack. Okay. Tick tack. Engineer. Okay. Engineer Adeniji, please brief.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, my engineer Adeniji. I'm a technical officer, chief technical officer. No, sorry, assistant chief technical officer. I'm planning to change my cadre from assistant chief technical to chief to other cadre to engineer cadre rather.
So what you want to do is change from a sub cadre to the officer cadre.
Thank you, ma.
Please go on.
But presently, there's a circular saying if you want to change from one cadre to another, you need to do a CBT test.
Yes.
Having said that, doing a CBT test, are we still going to wait 2 years, 3 years on that level? Because the circular, I didn't really understand the scenario about it. Thank you, ma. That's my question.
I think the CBT test is your first prerequisite. It's the first condition.
Okay, ma.
That's the very first condition. It does not eliminate your staying on that level.
You think, or you are very sure?
I was on that committee, and what we recommended was that, you know, the way the system is going, if we don't put checks in place, you may be a good engineer candidate, officer candidate, somebody else may not be. So the first thing to do is to even test how good is this officer. When people were only staying on the level for 3 years, it was on the basis that you would learn what it takes to be that officer while you are waiting.
Sorry, ma, can I come in?
Okay.
I came in as a level 8 officer, and I'm on level 13 now. What is it that I'm learning again? I've learned on the job, and I can vouch for myself that irrespective of any task given to me, I can withstand it.
Okay. So you will take the
Whatever
CBT
means.
test. No, I'm going to follow through with your matter. Let me put your name down. So
Thank
you're going
you.
to say you are going to take the CBT test, and I'm going to see.
I'm going to take it any day,
Yes.
anytime, because
Okay,
it's a
NG,
pity. It's a pity I'm HND graduate, and where I find myself, I don't think a university graduate can withstand my stand.
Can withstand. So the CBT test will show how proficient you are.
No problem. Any day, anytime.
It will
I'm
show how
100%
proficient.
ready.
No problem.
okay.
We
Thank
are
you,
also
sir.
ready for you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma.
you, engineer. So till
Thank you.
then, so Yorùbá say taba de papa adema yanju itoku. So
Kò
when
sí
you
Yes,
get
so
there,
problem. Ọlọ́run á fún
thank
wa
you, sir.
ṣe.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
On
sir.
this note,
Adeniji. That's the
before
name of
we
it.
Olúwa ṣeun.
Oluwaseun. Thank you.
before we cut this call, please join us on our channel, Telegram channel, WhatsApp channel for any updates. If you have any questions, sorry, we can't take all the questions. Just join us. Send your question in there. Madam is here with us. She will answer you, and other professional on the group will answer you any question that you need to know. Check the chat box and join our channel. So from there, you can now join our YouTube channel for our past section. All the one that you miss, maybe you are eligible for promotion this next year, just go to our YouTube channel and pick up. I think try to spend 1 hour on that YouTube library to pick different kind of topic you like. So how do you want it? Public service rules, scheme of service, and what have you. We have it there. It's there for you, not for anything. And it's free. Just log into your YouTube, click on that. We have sent the link to the chat box, and even this call we are going to send it there. So for you to to revise it. So as our tradition, I believe you people should start sending in emoji to appreciate our guest speaker today. So I will pick on Mrs. Fumilola Daramola. Thank you very much. Mrs. Fumilola Daramola will give Mrs. Fumilola, please unmute yourself and give thanks to our guests. Are you there with us, Mrs. Fumilola? Mrs. Fumilola, are you there? Okay. If you can't get Mrs. Fumilola, Mrs. Oluwakemi, unmute yourself.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you. On behalf of participants, so
Okay.
help us appreciate our guest speaker.
Good evening, everyone, once again. Good evening, my DT. Good evening, PS. Good evening, sir. And to everyone that is on the platform this night, really appreciate the time. On behalf of the participants, we want to say a very big thank you, Ma, out of no time for sparing this time to impart knowledge into us. We are grateful. Thank you for the time. Thank you for taking time to answer our questions, even those ones that might look so irrelevant and disturbing. Thank you so much for clearing the doubts and clearing the air for us. We are very grateful, Ma. God bless you. Have a blessed week. Thank you, sir. God bless you
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
God bless you. And thank you to our union. Madam, thank you, Ma. Amarimba. So, DTL promised us that anytime we're ready, she's ready for us. But today, because of time, thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onosoya. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So good night. Have a lovely night rest, every one of us.
Thank
Good
you
night.
and God bless.
Yes, ma'am.